Bonjour. Bonjour à tous et à toutes. Vous m'entendez? C'est OK? Alors, bienvenue à Versailles, à nous tous et toutes. Pour moi, c'est une première. Puis je suis très, très contente donc, d'être là parmi vous pour cette 4e journée du RFTCD, donc au nom de l'association, au nom du bureau, donc avec Uli Kremer. Donc, on est tous les deux les co-présidents de cette association. Donc, on organise donc, pour la 4e fois donc, cette journée qui rassemble les cliniciens, les chercheurs qui sont intéressés par la TCD. Et c'est vraiment un grand plaisir de constater que chaque année, donc, il y a de plus de personnes. Donc, on peut faire l'hypothèse, voilà, donc c'est parce que la France et la francophonie, elle est encore très centralisée, et du coup Paris attire, ou Versailles attire beaucoup de monde, mais aussi de façon plus optimiste, on peut faire l'hypothèse, voilà, que c'est finalement donc, la dissémination de la TCD qui est de plus en plus finalement quelque chose dont on parle, quelque chose qu'on pratique, quelque chose qui suscite de l'intérêt. Donc on est vraiment très très content et contente donc, de constater donc, que donc, la TCD commence à susciter une forme d'engouement. Donc on a beaucoup de plaisir du coup à vous accueillir. Donc on vous invite à profiter bien évidemment de toute la journée des ateliers. Et aussi de rester jusqu'à la fin parce que l'association a travaillé cette année, donc on serait vraiment ravis de pouvoir partager avec vous donc, tout ce qui s'est passé au cours de l'année, toutes les nouveautés, aussi donc, les webinaires à venir et potentiellement, même si on n'a pas défini, donc, comment ça va se passer pour la 5e journée du RF-TCD. Je souhaitais aussi remercier bien évidemment Mario, donc, qui est le trésorier donc, de notre association, probablement la personne qui travaille le plus du coup dans le bureau et qui a assuré l'organisation donc, de cette journée, en tout cas pour beaucoup d'aspects donc, d'organisation. Donc merci Mario. Merci aussi à tous les intervenants. Merci Christine donc pour donc, animer donc, cette journée qui va être sans doute très sympa aujourd'hui.
Et aussi de ma part, bonjour à tous. En tant que co-président, représentant de la Suisse, je suis très heureux de vous accueillir ici à Versailles avec Louisa Weiner. Nous sommes les deux à la tête de cette association qui ne cesse de grandir, donc on vous remercie pour votre intérêt. Une des missions, c'est vraiment de disséminer la TCD dans le monde francophone. Nous avons effectivement des collègues du Canada, de la Suisse, de la France et probablement d'autres pays, y compris le Royaume-Uni, aujourd'hui présents. Donc c'est un signe de ce rayonnement. Les buts de notre association, c'est vraiment de disséminer la bonne pratique et vraiment assurer que les concepts sont appris de la bonne manière. Et un thème qui nous est très à cœur, que le bureau a sélectionné pour cette année, c'est bien évidemment avec la conférence de Christine Dunkley, c'est les stratégies de changement, plus particulièrement autour de la régulation des émotions, qui était un thème qui nous paraissait adéquat et très intéressant pour approfondir cette année. On essaie aussi après d'autres conférences, bien sûr, l'INCUE et au niveau de l'exposition dans le domaine du trauma. Ce sont des thèmes qui, pour nous, montrent que la TCD ne s'arrête pas au premier concept, mais vraiment, il y a un développement clinique et de recherche qu'on a envie de disséminer et de soutenir. Je tiens à remercier tout le bureau, tous les intervenants et surtout Mario pour tout ton travail d'organisation et de nous accompagner pour cette journée d'aujourd'hui.
Merci Weli, merci Luisa. Donc c'est avec beaucoup de plaisir que je vous accueille aujourd'hui dans cette belle salle et dans cet bel endroit. Vous êtes quand même dans les petites écuries du château de Versailles. Donc ce n'est pas un lieu banal et donc c'est un lieu qui je pense, est intéressant pour accueillir notre journée du réseau francophone c'est vraiment une opportunité aussi pour élargir à plein de personnes qui n'étaient pas jusque-là en contact avec le réseau, connaître les activités du réseau et profiter d'une journée scientifique qu'on espère de qualité. Donc juste pour vous donner quelques éléments d'organisation, nous avons une matinée de conférence On a demandé aux intervenants de garder un peu de temps pour discuter avec la salle, de manière à pouvoir échanger, poser des questions, avec une première intervention par Christine Dunkley, qui va être en anglais. J'espère que ça ne va pas être une limitation, même si on est dans un réseau francophone, l'anglais reste quand même une langue essentielle, mais on a traduit les diapositives, donc Christine parlera en anglais, mais vous aurez les diapos en français. Et puis si vous avez des questions, on pourra les traduire pour Christine de manière à pouvoir échanger avec elle. Donc après la matinée de conférence, on aura un après-midi centré sur des ateliers pour essayer d'avoir des échanges plus directs pour la pratique. Et donc nous avons 3 ateliers. Là, vous avez déjà donné votre choix d'atelier. Et donc il y aura 3 ateliers, dont un qui va être dans cette salle, en principe sur les adolescents. C'est l'atelier qui a été le plus plébiscité. Il doit y avoir un biais lié à notre équipe, probablement. Et 2 salles juste à côté où il y aura les 2 autres ateliers sur la validation et l'analyse en chaîne. Et donc après ces 2 ateliers, entre 2 heures et 4 heures, il y aura l'AG par la suite. Et comme disait Luisa, on vous invite vraiment à rester pour voir comment le réseau essaye de se développer et diffuser les connaissances autour de la TCD. Voilà, donc je donne la parole immédiatement à Christine pour commencer cette journée, et je vous souhaite à tous de profiter de cette belle journée. En plus, il ne pleut pas pour l'instant, et donc bonne journée à tous. Voilà. Donc, Hélène, tu as mis la présentation ?
Elle est là en fait.
Oui, parfait. 45, yeah. Donc, je vais donner la parole pour cette première intervention donc à Christine Dunkley. Christine est elle travaille en Irlande. Elle est psychothérapeute spécialisée dans les TCD. Elle a participé au développement de la TCD en Irlande. Elle est d'ailleurs formatrice du British Isles DBT Training, qui est l'un des plus importants centres de formation à la DBT en Europe. Voilà. Donc c'est avec grand plaisir qu'on vous laisse la parole, et vous avez tout le temps nécessaire pour cette conférence, sachant qu'un certain nombre d'entre vous sont au courant que demain, il y aura une journée avec Christine, un atelier beaucoup plus long, un séminaire de toute une journée qui permettra de développer un certain nombre d'aspects qui sont évidemment plus difficiles à développer dans un temps d'une conférence. Voilà.
Thank you, thank you. Bonjour, merci de l'invitation. Thank you very much. That's all I've got. So it's in English from now, so thank you very much for inviting me. And before I start, I want to say something to you about this conference and about your work, which is this. If you went home today and on the way home you passed a river and you saw a drowning person and you could see they were close to dying, and you pulled them out of the river and you saved their life, you would go home and you would say, I saved a life today. You might even get a medal. You know, it would be in the papers, pulled the person out of the river, saved their life. You do this every day, multiple times. But we don't stop to think about that. We don't stop to think about the ripples that go out from that one life you saved. If in your life you saved one person, their family, their family's gratitude, their children, their children's children, one life. You are awesome. Give yourself a round of applause. You are awesome. Okay, so now emotion regulation. Now, some of you will have read my book. Who's read my book? Okay, bit of repetition for you guys. Sorry. Sorry about that. So, I wrote this book because I could see that many people in DBT were over-relying on distress tolerance skills. You know, you've got an emotion, dip your face in cold water. No, no, no. This is not where we're going, guys. But it's easy to do because the manual is laid out in such a way that your distress tolerance skills, woo, here they are, easy. The emotion regulation skills are harder to do. They take longer to do, but they have more impact if you are able to do them. So this is what we're going to be talking about today and tomorrow if you are in the workshop. So what is emotion regulation? What is it? Okay, it's a skill we all have. We all have this skill, right? You just don't know you have it. So let's say that I grow prize roses. Okay, I love my roses. I go in my garden every day. I tend them. There's a local flower show. I show them. I win prizes. I come home one day. I go in my garden. Someone has pulled the heads off my prize blooms. Not even cut them like you would give a bouquet of flowers to someone. Pulled their heads off. Wanton destruction. And I am livid. I stomp around. And then there's a knock on the door. It's the little girl from next door. Her garden borders on my garden. She's only 5. In her arms, guess what? The heads of my flowers, right? Ugh. She says, Christine, I brought you some flowers because I know you love your flowers and I love you. Okay, who here would down-regulate their anger? She's only 5. She meant to do a nice thing, right? Who here would down-regulate? Raise your hand. You would, wouldn't you? You would. Okay. Now, here's the bad news. Your anger doesn't immediately fly out of the window. You don't see her beautiful little face and hear her voice going, and I love you, and poof, all your anger is gone. You don't mind at all about those flowers. That does not happen. You are still angry. You have to work at it. You have to work at it. So what would you do? Come on, tell me. What would you do to work at it? Take a breath. I can see you doing it. You take a breath. Take a breath. You would, wouldn't you? Come on, you would. She's only 5. Drop your shoulders down. What else would you do? Smile. You'd change your facial expression. You'd change your facial expression. You would. You'd have to do that, right? She's only 5. And you'd say to yourself, she's only 5. She didn't mean it. And it would gradually come down because there is a bi-directional feed between your body and your brain. And the things you do with your body is sending a message back to your brain. You don't need this much anger. You don't need it. And for every change you make in your body, your emotion will come down a notch. This is what it's for. It will come down a notch. Your brain is asking you, how angry should we be? And your body is communicating with your brain to turn down the hormonal tap. This is a tap. It's suffusing your blood with chemicals to make you ready to attack someone. Now, here's the thing. I do not want to go all the way to 0. Why not? Why don't I want to go all the way to 0? What's going to happen if I go, oh, I love you so much. Give me a big mwah, mwah, mwah. What happens if I do that? She'll do it again, right? So even this anger is trying to help me. This is the message for all your clients. Your anger is trying to help you. Your shame is trying to help you. Your disgust is trying to help you. Every emotion is trying to help you. So I need to downregulate, but I don't go all the way to 0. This is the dialectic. This is what dialectical means. It's flexible responding. I only go so far as to keep the message. Now, I only need a teeny tiny amount. She's only 5. I don't want to scare her to death. So what I have to do is go down, 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 down until I get here. Okay, sweetie, now listen, sweetie, this is nice, but don't go in the garden by yourself, will you, honey? If you want to pick some flowers, sweetie, you come to me and we'll go together and we'll pick the flowers and I'll show you which one you can pick. Don't go in the garden by yourself, will you, honey? Now, do you get it? We just keep enough to be effective. And this is our mindfulness skill of effectiveness combined with emotion regulation, right? So we want to be effective and we need just enough of the emotion to achieve that job, and then it can go, and then it can go. So if you are teaching emotion regulation, you have to know the context. All emotions are regulated to context. This is where DBT with the chain and solution analysis is the best treatment. I'm not supposed to say that anymore, are we? What did they say in America? Don't say that anymore. It's not borne out by the research. Don't say it's the best treatment. It is. Come on, you know, it is. Okay, so because we lodge it in the chain and solution analysis. So where I live in Southampton, close to Southampton, there was a fire in a student halls of residence, a tower block with students in. 11 p.m. The students come back from partying. They make toast. They set fire to the toaster. The fire takes hold, and they need to get people out. Some of the students have gone to bed and they have gone to sleep. They are used to noise at 11 p.m. when everyone comes back from the parties drunk, making toast, screaming. They're used to that noise. So the students who were awake and saw the fire ran down the corridors, screeching and banging on the doors at the top of their voices. Is this emotion regulated? Yes. Do you understand that? It's regulated because it totally matches the context. So where someone says, oh, I have to work on my client's anger there too, I was like, tell me the context. You know, it could be exactly right. My client has shame all the time. I'm working on their shame. Meh, tell me the context. It might be the right thing. And we don't know how much we need, how much is too much, and how much is not enough until we get the context. So this is where DBT and the chain and solution analysis is your friend. Okay, I don't know what's it say? Okay, so what is emotion regulation? It's the ability to increase and decrease your emotion under your conscious control. Wow. Who wants some of that? Who wants some of that? Under your conscious control, you decide, do I want more anger? Do I want less anger? Do I want more shame? Do I want less shame? It's entirely up to you. And that is the skill of emotion regulation. I'm not supposed to say it's like a miracle. Who knows Michaela Swales? Michaela Swales, she's my boss. She says, don't say it's like a miracle, Christine. Don't say that. We're not a cult. Just say it's good. It's good. Okay. So, the ability to increase or decrease. And these are my top tips. You're often over-relying on distress tolerance. Your clients over-rely on distress tolerance, right? Because it's easy to do. But distress tolerance cuts off the emotion. It just cuts it off. And then when it comes back later, it comes back bigger than before. Cut an emotion off, it's going to come back bigger than before. So, and therapist over coach, okay. So we need to go to the emotion link in the chain. Okay, so what is emotion regulation? Now, this is a column of emotion. At the top here, if I was feeling guilty, it would be the most guilt I could possibly feel about anything. At the bottom here, meh, nothing at all, nothing at all. Emotion regulation is the ability to go up and down in that column to get the right amount of emotion to match the facts. Always contextualized, always to do with the chain, always the context. How much is too much and how much is not enough? Now, we can see here, let's say it was your friend's birthday and you forgot to acknowledge it, you didn't send a card, you didn't send a text, you didn't say happy birthday. How much guilt on a scale of 0 to 100, how much guilt would roughly match the facts? Are we going up high or down low? Raise your finger for up high, raise your finger for down low. Up, up. What's the matter with you people? Up? Okay. Now, it's not unusual if you do this with your clients. You say how much guilt? 100%. That's what they will tell you. And they're telling the truth. This is what Marcia says about our clients have a layer of emotional skin missing. Every movement is painful to them. They experience their emotions maximally on everything. You only forget to send a birthday card or acknowledge a birthday, and you have to have enough, maximum guilt. Now, you can do this on a piece of paper next to your client. How much guilt? Put that column and ask them how much guilt you didn't send the card. And what they will often say is 100%. Now, if they say that, I say this. 100%, right? So it's my birthday, you're my friend. You forgot. So you got in your car and you drove round to my house with flowers and chocolates. You drove onto my drive. It was so urgent. Ran over my dog and killed it. How much guilt? How much guilt now? Come on, how much? Come on, you 100%ers. How much? You can't go over 100%. That's what my clients say. They say 300%. No, no, no. You have to bring it down right. Now, what I'm doing here with this example is I'm working for something that's vital in DBT. I'm working for an invitation to treat. An invitation to treat, right? Because I don't have permission to give my clients emotion regulation. I actually don't have permission to give them anything. I have to earn it. So I say, 100%. So you have to go in and say to me, oh, Christine, I feel absolutely terrible. I forgot your birthday. I feel terrible. I killed the dog as well, but oh my God, the birthday. Yeah, you have to, right? You have to say, no, shall we bring it down? Now, even if, here's my top tip, even if they only agree, okay, a notch, let's bring it down a notch. I have my invitation. Does that make sense? They've now said, please, Christine, teach me this. And now I have an open door. so I can teach them how to bring their emotion down. Okay, now another example. Right, you are, I'm your friend, it's my birthday, but recently I was so helpful to you that you said to me, I know, Christine, it's your birthday coming up. Don't you even do anything about it. I will throw you a party. You forgot. More guilt or less guilt than the birthday card? More, yes. This is the dialectic. This is the dialectic. You would feel more guilt. Now, here's the thing. So this is the birthday card one, and this is the next one. You have to feel more guilt because the function of guilt is to motivate us to make a repair. And let me tell you, you need more motivation to organize a party than you do to, you know, send me a card or something for my birthday. So the emotion is matched to the effectiveness. This is what it's all about. So we need to then do some emotion regulation strategies. Now, the most important emotion regulation strategy that trumps every other emotion regulation strategy is problem solving. Problem solving. This is because all your emotions are emotion. They're to elicit motion to make you solve a problem. They're all there to help you solve problems. And once you've solved the problem, the emotion will go. That's the top one. But for us, our clients are highly suicidal. They've got a solution. They've got a solution, right? If I killed myself, I wouldn't have to send a card. If I killed myself, I wouldn't have to organize a party. And it's this use it or lose it. When you are not solving problems because your brain has already got a solution, then your ability to solve problems falls away. We lose our ability to see another way. Okay? So we need to solve the problem. Now, problem solve one, you didn't send the card. Send a card, send some flowers, apologize, say, so sorry, I forgot your birthday. Whoosh, the guilt is going to go. If you haven't organized the party, then you have to do something to you can't just go, sorry, I forgot your party. Here's a box of chocolates. You can't. What do you have to do? Yeah, organize a get-together, afternoon tea, pizza, something. So you need more emotion to do that. Now, let's say it's not you. Let's say it's someone else. And they say to you, yeah, my friend was really helpful to me. And I said, don't even think about it. I will organize you a party. But then I started thinking, why did I say that? It's going to be time consuming. It's going to be, hard work. People let you down, expensive. So I just lied to my friend and I just said, oh, something came up. I couldn't do it. Something came up. And then, I didn't do it. Now, here's someone who lied to their friend, left their friend without a celebration because they couldn't be bothered to do it, reneged on a promise. Should you feel more guilt or less guilt than accidentally forgetting? What do you think? Should feel more. Is there any sign that this person feels any guilt at all? They're just going, oh, yeah, no, I just lied, it was fine. They'll get over it. No guilt at all. These people are under-emoting. They're under-emoting. They need to upregulate their emotion. They need to show more of it. If I was in prison and I was there for mugging old ladies, assaulting old ladies and stealing their money, their handbag, and I went for parole and they said, how do you feel about your crime? And I said, Well, victimless crime, isn't it? They're all insured. They're quite wealthy old ladies. It's all right. They're not going to let me out, right? They're not going to let me out. So I'm not showing the appropriate amount of emotion. So now, why would clients under-emote? I had a client, and she had borderline personality disorder. She'd made a friend, and friends are precious, you know. And they'd been out a few times together. And my client said to her friend, I can't find my jacket that I had. Did I have it? Did I take it to the club when we went, you know, last week? And her friend said, I can't remember. I'd been drinking. I can't remember. So she couldn't find this jacket. Time went on. Another day, she's round at her friend's weeks later, and she goes to the toilet. Her friend's bedroom door is open. On her friend's bed, the jacket. She's like, what's happened? Now, to cut a long story short, the friend had been stealing from her, stealing her stuff. And I said to my client, were you furious? She said, no, these things happen. Now, I said, not even a bit angry. She said, oh, I don't do anger. Now, when she said that, she's telling the truth. She's telling the truth. In fact, when your clients tell you anything, they're telling the truth. And when they tell you the skills don't work, they're telling the truth. There's a reason. You'll find it. You'll just find it. Anyway, she says, yeah, no, these things happen. Anyway, the reason for this is in her birth family, her father was so violent that he would beat her siblings, beat the dog, beat their mother if he got angry. And so everyone in that family crept around making sure no anger entered those walls. She didn't do angry. But what happens if you cannot even show the slightest emotion on your face, the slightest crossness, if your friend is stealing your stuff? The friend had stolen other things as well, like her bracelet that she didn't even know was gone. She was not policing her boundaries. She was not standing up for herself. She was vulnerable to exploitation. Those of you who work with clients with learning difficulties, with intellectual difficulties, often are very amiable, and other people take advantage of them because they're not showing this is not on. So for this client, we had to upregulate. Does this make sense? Is there any questions in English, please? Any questions? Are we good? Give me a thumbs up if we're good. Oh, bless you, bless you. Right, okay, so sometimes we have to go up in emotion. Sometimes we have to go down, right? And this is in order that the emotion matches the facts. Right, so how do we do this? These are the signature features of an emotion. Every emotion plays out in your body. The body is the way that you communicate with the brain about how much emotion is needed. The hormonal tap is worked by these things. Now, in the manual, you see this as a very complicated diagram, right? You know the one I'm talking about, the one that makes you go, oh, don't even do it. Turn the page, turn the page. That diagram. But really, every emotion has a temperature. Anger is hot. Sadness is cold. Not every emotion is the same. Every emotion has a breathing rate. So, you know, my clients would get anxious and their breathing would increase. They get sad. Anxious, your breathing is fast. Sad, your breathing is elongated. My clients would phone the out-of-hours service, the support service, and say, I feel terrible. The support service will say, routinely, take a deep breath. great if it's anxiety. I feel terrible. Take a deep breath. That's better. That's better. But not if it's sadness. Take a deep breath. Doesn't work, right? You have to know your emotions. You have to know your emotion signatures. You have to know the signature of every emotion. And here's the bad news. Every emotion is regulated differently. You cannot regulate an emotion until you know two things about it. What is the emotion and what is the context? That is what we have to find out. Now, muscle tone. Some emotions are tense, some emotions are floppy. If you act opposite to the emotion signature, the emotion will come down. Facial expression. There's so many muscles in your face, very close to your brain. The fastest message is going through your face. Now, I am going to prove this to you. And I don't want you to think about this. I just want you to do it, okay? I just want you to do it. I want you to imagine that someone nearby is your long-lost friend. And you had no idea that you were going to see them here today. It's amazing. If you're sitting on your own, do it with me. Just do it with me. I want you to greet each other with the best French-speaking world greeting that you can possibly give. Go, do it right now. Oh my God, come on, do it. Come on. I know it's early. You can do it, you can do it. Right, come on, greet yourself, greet each other. Oh my goodness, amazing. I can't believe it's you. Fantastic, come on, you can do it. Come on, it's amazing. I'm so happy to see you. Okay, now stop. Now, those of you who did do it, you're going to have an amazing experience now, because I'm going to ask you to do exactly the same thing again, exactly the same. Same voice tone, same smile, same gestures, same words, same tone of voice, same everything. One teeny tiny opposite action. Just one, okay? Teeny tiny. I don't want you to raise your eyebrows. Don't raise your eyebrows. Just keep your eyebrows down, right? Just keep your eyebrows down. Ready? Go for it. Do it again. Go on. Oh my goodness, I'm so happy to see you. It's amazing. It's great to see you. So happy. Ooh. Who noticed a down regulation of joy? Raise your hand if you knew. A down regulation of joy. Nobody told you that. Nobody told you that happened. Who noticed you couldn't even get your voice as high? Ooh. Here is the key. Here is the key. Now, I want you to do another one. This will be slightly easier for you, because it seems like some of you are a little bit slow to warm up this morning. Go on. A little bit easier. Now, I want you to turn to each other and say, I'm very cross about that. I'm very cross about that. Go on, do it. Do it. I'm very cross about that. Right. Okay, guys. Okay. Now, listen, I want you to do it again. But this time, we're going to go voice tone. I want you to say it again. I'm very cross about that. But I want you to say it in a kindly voice tone. Everything else can be the same. Just use a kindly voice tone. Go on. You can't do it. Come on, you can't do it, can you? Who noticed a down regulation in anger? A down regulation. They don't tell you this. They should tell you this in school, right? How to get, for every one of these signature features that you act opposite to, your emotion will come down a notch. But here's the thing, not all the way to zero, right? Not all the way to zero. The emotion is communicated. It's communicated by the features of the body. And that is working your hormones. It's a bi-directional feed. Marsha says, actions cause emotions, emotions cause actions. And if you change either end of it, the emotion will come down. But with my client, we were adding in with her friend. We were adding in the signature features so that she could go up. Now, technical stuff here. If you are down-regulating emotion, it's almost instant. As soon as you start changing these, the emotion will come down. It cannot maintain in its opposite actions. This is the skill of opposite action. It cannot maintain, but you cannot go all the way down to zero. If you go down to zero, you have invalidated the emotion, and that will not work. You have to find the amount that matches the facts. So posture. Shame has a really, it's shame, the action urge is to hide. And it has this real like droopy, like hide your face, being ashamed. I'll tell you a story. Well, I'm going to tell this story. Probably won't get around to some other things, but I just told this story in Jordan, and so it's on my mind. I had a client once, and she was the worst case that I have ever dealt with in terms of danger to life. You know, she was in the hospital when she was referred to me by the psychiatrist. And the psychiatrist said, she is going to die, actually. But we just want to say we've done everything we could. You see her, we've done everything we could. And this woman used to flay herself. Do you know what that is? Like, she would take a metal object and she would strip off her skin, the top layer of her skin, all over her body. When I saw her, she was in the hospital and she was like a mummy. And can you imagine the pain of that? Just so painful. Anyway, I started working with her with the model. Stick to the model, guys. The model is a great model. I started working with her with the model. I had telephone contact with her. We gradually, we got her out of hospital. But what we found out when we were doing our work together, she was a lawyer, and very middle-class kind of family. Her husband also very accomplished. They had a child, 8 years old, and her husband was seeing someone else much younger than her. He hadn't fully admitted it to her, but she knew because he was blatantly, seeing this girl. This girl was ringing him, of an evening, and he was openly talking to her. So my client could feel that the end of everything she knew was coming. The end of her marital status, the end of the home they shared, the end of their life together, the end of her hopes and dreams. And she felt high shame. She felt high shame. And she was overcome by it. She almost couldn't even admit it to me, because it felt so shameful to her that she was the discarded woman. And I remember a moment in the therapy when she was telling me about this. She was at home by this point, and she was not so bandaged. And she was saying this to me, and she's saying, he's leaving me, and, it's the end of everyone. What will people think? How do I go out there? How do I face all our friends? How do I do that? And I said to her, hold your head up. do not let your head drop one iota. You have done nothing wrong. Get that head up. I almost was slapping her. Apart from she's in pain, right? Don't slap your clients. I'm not recommending that. Don't slap your clients. But, you know, get your head up. And I saw something amazing happen right in front of me. I saw her like almost in disbelief. Well, get your head up. Get it up. Can you feel it? Can you feel it now? Hold your head up. You have done nothing wrong. Straighten your spine. You are doing this for the sisterhood. Get your head up. You are doing this for all women everywhere who've been, you know, put aside for get your head up. And something in that moment changed. Something in that moment changed. That she realized there was another way. There was another way. Through the body. She did it. I was like, say it with a firm voice. Say it. Yes, my husband and I are splitting up. He's been cheating on me. I was like, say it like that. He's been cheating on me. You can even have a little sneer if you want. A little sneer. No, not too much, but, you know. So get your head up. And something changed in that moment. And I think the most emotional thing was that through the course of DBT, the 8-year-old daughter, whose mother had been in hospital for months and months, and she only saw her infrequently because her injuries were so horrendous. And her 8-year-old daughter said to her after this, "Mummy, you had died and you came back to life." So, you know, these things are important. Don't underestimate the power of the body. Do not underestimate in any given moment. Now hone in on the links in the chain. Hone in on the links in the chain. Now, here we are for every, I don't know what that says, for every, what does it say? For every signature feature that you act opposite to, the emotion will come down a notch. It will come down a notch for every one of those signature features. So what are the steps in emotion regulation? Now, I think, I don't want to be arrogant here because I'm not an arrogant person. I think, though, that Marcia didn't lay out the steps in emotion regulation quite as clearly as she might have, quite as clearly as she laid out the distress tolerance skills that all come in a list. So, of course, you reach for them. So here's the thing you have to do. I have to read it off here because I usually read it off my slides, so I can't read stuff. Right, so notice the emotion. So first of all, they have to notice the emotion. Name the emotion. Now, our clients are emotion phobic. They do not want to have emotion. And the reason for that is what we said earlier. If you push your emotion away, your emotion is too important. These are survival strategies. They're too important for them to just be pushed away. They just try harder to get back in. You push them away and they increase. You push them away and they increase. And how do our clients push them away? They harm themselves, they drink, they oversleep, they close the curtains and binge watch Netflix. Do they do that in France? Is that a thing? You know that. They avoid everything, and so they don't have emotion. But the more you push your emotion away, the harder it's going to bounce back. So if they don't know what the emotion is, you go to your manual and you get handout 6 from emotion regulation in the manuals, the DBT manuals. It's that big, thick handout, and it's got all the emotions on it. And Marcia has put together, what might have happened, or what you might be saying to yourself, or what you might feel in your body. And we use that as a kind of key. Like, is it this? Do you think this one? Read this one. Do you think it's that? What about this one? Try this one on. Does that feel more like it? And that's how you use that handout. You use it as a reference work when the client doesn't know, because the client doesn't know. Now, in terms of secondary emotions, primary emotions, don't worry about it. Here, I'm just going to make your life so much easier. Do not worry about whether it's a primary emotion or a secondary emotion. Treat the one you see. Treat the one you see. Treat the one they're in. Because what else can you do? That's the one they're in, right? If their anger is covering sadness, then as the anger reduces, the sadness will bubble up. They'll say, well, I'm less angry, but now I feel tearful. Well, there you are. So don't worry about whether it's a primary emotion. If they choose the wrong emotion, don't worry about it. Just act as if they've chosen the right one and go through your emotion regulation. And if it doesn't work, you would say to your client, doesn't seem to be working. I wonder if we have the right emotion. Why don't we look again? You get double whammy there. You get 2 teaching lots, okay? So don't worry about it. It's much simplified if you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so name the emotion. Now, affect labeling, saying the name of the emotion under fMRI scanning, Naomi Eisenberger, she says it reduces amygdala activity because it pushes action from the amygdala out to the cortex. And the cortex has a dampening effect on the amygdala, right? So just using the word. Now, the next step is check how much emotion would roughly fit the facts. Now, here's my top tip. The client comes in and she says, my partner, I'm so angry with my partner. I'm absolutely furious. I'm furious to the point of wanting to harm myself. I say to her, well, probably done something really bad then. Let's work out how much emotion we want to keep. That is the key question. How much emotion do we want to keep? Write that down, write that down. That's your first question. Because this is validating. It's saying the emotion is probably doing something. Well, tell me what it's done and we'll work out how much we want to keep of this emotion. Then I have my client in the palm of my hand because he or she wants to tell me this is what happened and wants to retain some of that anger. I don't start with how do we get it down. I start with how much do you want to keep. Now, on your slides, I've just given you some tips on, oh, no, what else have I got? Right, for the emotion that's valid, we want to do problem solving. We want to do problem solving using the action urge of the emotion as a guide. And for the excess emotion, we want to do opposite action to those signature features that was there. And you go down to the point that the emotion matches the facts and you keep that. And you keep saying to your client, how much emotion do we need here? And if your client says none, say no, 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 no. Your emotion is trying to help you. Your emotion is definitely trying to help you. And tomorrow, for those of you who are coming to the workshop tomorrow, we will be going into more detail of how your emotions like shame and anger and sadness are trying to help you and how you regulate those. So those of you joining us tomorrow. Now, I've also put on here, just so you can take it, I've put on here some of the solutions for justified emotion. So this is where the solution comes, for each emotion, I don't know what it says about that, for each emotion, it will say, like anger, reduce some threat against you. What is it? And you would help them find it out. So go first to the valid solution for the emotion. Too much I hear amongst tapes when I listen to tapes from supervisees. I listen to them or I watch them. The original problem is never, it's never attended to. It's all about what's happening in your body. But the emotion was there for a reason. I listened to one recently where a client in a group home had broken his phone. And he was trying to find ways. He dropped it in the water or something. And he was trying to get the staff to give him some rice. Is it rice? To put his phone in to get something like that. And he was just getting angrier and angrier. Now, at no point did the therapist work with the client on what to do if your phone breaks, like how you would get messages to people if you had no phone, how you might get another SIM card or borrow a phone from someone, how you might put a message out on Facebook. It was all, oh, let's get, all in your body. But this isn't going to help. We need to go to how was the emotion trying to help you and solve the problem. And then your clients will love you. And for excess emotion, you've got your emotion regulation, signature features. And remember, for each one, the emotion will come down a notch. And Marcia says, learn to love your emotions. I hope that's what it says. Learn to love your emotions. Okay, thank you. I hope you got something from that.
Merci beaucoup Christine pour cette magnifique présentation. La psychothérapie est une chose très sérieuse, mais tu nous as montré comment on peut le faire de façon ludique et que la dimension ludique, la dimension aussi de jeu, l'irrévérence qui existe dans la TCD est un élément essentiel de la thérapie et ça crée un environnement probablement qui est extrêmement pertinent dans l'échange émotionnel avec le patient. I don't know if you... yeah. Alors, on a quelques minutes pour poser des questions à Christine. Est-ce que l'un d'entre vous souhaite faire un commentaire? Je vais éventuellement faire une première question et puis je vous passe la parole. Ce n'est pas si simple de savoir comment faire du problem solving avec la partie utile de l'émotion et comment en même temps faire l'action opposée pour la partie excessive. C'est comme si il y avait deux stratégies. Est-ce que c'est avant l'une, après l'autre ou comment jongler entre ces deux aspects?
Yes, is that on? Yeah. Yeah, in any context, you have to work out from the information in the context how much would be too much and how much not enough. But you all have an inbuilt manual for this, because what would you do? You have a feeling in that situation, because you are effective, how much would be too much and how much would be not enough. But mostly you go to your client and you say, do you want a little bit more? How much a little bit more? And together you will work it out. Get them to practice it, get them to rehearse it, and then say, does that feel enough, or does that feel too much, or does that feel not enough? So this is where your behavioral rehearsal comes in.
Merci.
In your example of that person who was not guilty enough about the birthday party, if you ask the person what his or her values are, and the person says, oh, I don't feel guilty because my value is not friendship, I think friendship is not very important, then the low level of guilt would match the value of the person. And so my question is, how do you work with clients who have a very strange values, especially clients who have not very social behavior, and so it's difficult to relate to the value? How do you do that?
Yes, this is where Marsha and I slightly differ, because Marsha says if you cross your values, then guilt is appropriate, and if you don't cross your values, it's not appropriate. But by that definition, if my client says, I don't feel anything about mugging old ladies, but I know actually this is a faulty kind of system, it needs to go up. So guilt is a social emotion, and the action is, it's useful to find out, am I at risk of being evicted from the tribe if I do not, obey the rules of the tribe, as it were, and should I make a repair? Now, if I'm working with a prisoner and he says, don't care, haven't crossed any values of my own, then all I can do then is say, then you have to take the consequences for not having the appropriate, feeling about it, because the consequences are, you're staying in here, mate. Nobody's going anywhere while you have that, because the tribe has rejected that. It's similar with anorectic clients who will say, I ate an apple, I feel terrible, I feel so guilty. And you say, have you crossed your values? Yeah, I have. My value was to not eat anything. So, if you were going on Marsha's definition, you would have to say, then yeah, that's okay. You shouldn't feel any guilt. But we know it's okay. You should feel guilty then. But we don't want them to feel guilty for eating an apple. What we say to them is, have you crossed any rules of the group that would eject you? Now, there's an element of truth in this. Sometimes your client is in a pro-Anna group on the website, where they're encouraging each other to be skeletons. So there's a risk there. You have to find it. Sometimes there is, they are tuning in overly to body image like you get on the internet, and, that thin is the only way to be. And so you have to do some work on that to bring them closer to what is everyone, what is it to be in the tribe of everyone. Your clients who have anorexia, the main consequence that hurts them is that they are emotionally lonely, because they're separating themselves from the tribe. They're separating themselves and they are emotionally lonely. So you can always add that consequence in. All we can do is give clients the consequences of whatever choices they make and offer the invitation to treat. Would you like to know how to go up or down in this emotion? Would you like to know how to problem solve it? That's all we can do. We need an invitation or we can't do anything.
Thank you, Christine, for this beautiful talk. A little bit different question. Can you say 2 words about the therapist's emotion, a sense of maybe validation level 6, and how you use it in therapy? For example, for the lady who had shame in relationship with her split up.
Yes, I mean, your emotion will equally be, is it valid or not valid? Is it justifiable, and how much do you want to keep? And the main one that comes up for therapists is fear of the client's emotion. The client is frightened of their emotion, and you catch their fear. So you catch their fear and you're going, I see it in a group home situation. My client's mother lives nearby. She doesn't come and visit. My client, it's her birthday. She starts crying and she says, oh, my mother doesn't even bother with me. And the staff run round and they say, but don't worry. Look, you've got lots of friends here. Look, we're going to have pizza tonight. Look at all your cards. Let me paint your nails. I'll paint your nails, right? And the therapist is frightened of the client's emotion because it's associated with harming yourself and being suicidal. So why would you not be, right? But we have to really steel ourselves to say, if I have emotion, check it out. What's the risk? What's the risk here? Nobody died of an emotion. They died of what they would do to get away from that emotion. So you need to use that. But also, We need to be okay with our own emotions. This is what you're getting at, isn't it? We need to be okay that we have an emotion. And when we have an emotion, there's a connection between us. You should say it. You should say, I feel a lump in my throat now. I feel the urge to cry. Don't be afraid of your emotion. Model to everyone how to be emotional and you won't die. Cry ploppy tears. And, you know, for 7 minutes, that's the thing. Keep it going for 7 minutes if you can. So we need to model that too. Using emotion makes connection. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Christine.